There have been several new updates on the Microsoft front of gaming, talking about whether or not this Activision deal is going to go through, where Microsoft buys Activision, and a few other things that I found around the web. Let's hop into it right now. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Before I dive in, please consider hitting that subscribe button, hitting that bell to know when I go live. Thank you so much for watching this video today. So the big news is there's two different things. It sounds like the deal is about to go through, but let's talk about the bad news, or at least that's the way people seem to be reporting on it. The FTC has requested additional info on Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal. Now, I couldn't actually find very much on this, but there was a quote that somebody, I believe it was WCC F-Tech, and it says basically, on March 3rd, 2022, Activision Blizzard and Microsoft each received a request for additional information and documentary material, which we refer to as a second request, from the FTC connection with the FTC's review of the transaction. The effect of this, and I'm actually going to change this. There. The credit was incorrect. The effect of the second request is to extend the waiting period imposed under the HSR Act until the 30-day after substantial compliance by Activision Blizzard and Microsoft with the second request, unless the waiting period is terminated earlier by the FTC or is otherwise agreed between the parties and the FTC. So it does sound like this whole deal is going to go through no matter what. And actually, when we talked to Richard Hogue about the deal, we knew that this was going to be investigated closer. And he actually pointed out that this was always going to happen. So his reaction to the news is basically, realistically, there was no way the FTC wasn't going to issue a second request on a deal like this. And it's fair to assume Sony and Bungie will get one too. So not only is the Activision Blizzard deal going to come under a little bit of scrutiny by the FTC, but so will the Sony Bungie deal. It's standard operating procedure for mergers of these sizes to make sure that there's no antitrust going on, etc. There have been a lot of stories about this merger. There was some rumored insider trading that largely was, I believe they're still investigating it, but the people were just like, no, we just happened to buy. And it didn't seem like much came of it based on the one story I read about it. That was a while ago, though. The other indicator that this is nearing the end is that Activision has asked shareholders to vote in favor of the deal. And if we head on over to actually gamesindustry.biz, Activision Blizzard has called on their shareholders to vote in favor of the deal. So the vote's going to be on April 28th, and results are going to be expected May 4th. The publisher's board of directors encourages shareholders to vote in favor. A majority is needed for the deal to close. And the final bullet point is really important. If this deal doesn't go through, Activision Blizzard warns that stock will decline significantly, meaning investors are going to lose a lot of money if this deal doesn't go through. Now, we've talked about how there were two shareholders who were requesting more information about the deal and how they didn't feel like they had enough information to get the proper decision or to make a proper decision. So this vote is going to be really important. And there's some important facts about what's going to happen in this vote. So the vote is going to decide whether or not the $68.7 billion deal will go through. The vote is described as non-binding and advisory. Activision is emphasizing the importance of the vote, stating that the merger cannot be completed unless the majority of its shareholders approve. And what's really, really interesting is the next line. The company adds that anyone who abstains or fails to vote will be counted as being against the merger. So they've basically done everything to emphasize the importance of this vote and really say that, hey, if you don't vote in this, you're going to be counted as against it. So if you decide to abstain or just not vote for whatever reason that day, it will be counted as a do not go through. And I have to imagine that the FTC would look at information like that and be like, okay, well, even with this being set up to result in not going through internally, like not being voted for internally, if they still manage to vote for it and it goes through, then I think that's going to look quite good to the FTC, and everybody tends to make a lot of money on it. So I have to imagine that it gets the green light. Unsurprisingly, the Activision board of directors states that it has unanimously decided selling to Microsoft is advisable, fair to, and in the best interest of Activision Blizzard and its stockholders. Of course it is. Everybody's going to make a lot of money if they do that. If you remember, Microsoft was actually buying, I believe it was at $95 per share, which was well above where they were at, if I remember correctly. Yeah, okay, they actually talk about it. This means shareholders will no longer own stock in the surviving business, which would be a wholly owned subsidiary of Microsoft. However, shareholders will have the option to convert shares and will be entitled to receive $95 in cash for every Activision share they hold. That is a very good deal for them. And let me bring up Robinhood really quick, and I'll just take a look and see where Activision is at today. So if you just happen to own stock in Activision Blizzard, just give me a second to find it. Apologies, everybody. So right now, Activision Blizzard stock as of today, you can see it's only at 79.24, and this is the height for the last year. If you look at the last 5 years, the most that it had ever gone for was 103. And then in 2021, you can see the quick decline. This is obviously when all the allegations and lawsuits came out, and it dipped down to 58.60. It has bounced back to 81.44. So you're already getting $15 more a share than the current market value. And the way a lot of these programs work are, I have to imagine, I don't know for sure, but I have to imagine that Activision Blizzard has had an employee stock purchase program. So anybody who happens to own stock in the company has already bought it at likely a 15% discount, meaning you already get your shares in a 6-month period. You're able to buy at the lowest point. So like, let's say at the end, it's $95 a share, and at the beginning it was $50 a share. You get to buy at $50 a share at a 15% discount if you've contributed to something like an ESPP plan. So Activision Blizzard, obviously their low point back in November was around $60. So any employee who was buying at that point, they're buying at $60 a share at a 15% discount, meaning, like I said, people are going to make a lot of money. I'm just trying to illustrate how employee stock purchase programs work. I know because I contributed to one for my full-time job. It's, if you have the opportunity to, I highly recommend it, but I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money. Yeah. So anyway, continuing. However, Activision warns it expects the price of its stock to decline significantly. I have to imagine the prices that we're seeing today of around $80 has a lot to do with the fact that this deal is likely going to go through. So we've seen a lot of growth, and it's probably going to hold there up until the sale happens. I'm not sure what happens with the stock. I have to imagine the stock gets folded into Microsoft once everything's said and done. That part I'm not as familiar with. Good thing to check out over on Richard Hogue. There wasn't a ton of other things in here that I really wanted to talk about, but I'll just read this next paragraph and then give some closing thoughts. It added that there would also be no assurance that any other transaction acceptable to Activision Blizzard or its stockholders will be offered, or that Activision Blizzard's business prospects or results of operations will not be adversely impacted. I have to imagine that with all the allegations, with all the lawsuits happening, that if they don't let this deal go through, it's not going to be good for shareholders. It's not going to be good for the business. There's a lot of turmoil there right now. Speaking of that aspect, the judge is prepared to approve an Activision misconduct settlement with feds for $18 million. That's for, I believe, one of the cases. The judge has denied former Blizzard workers' motion to intervene and waves off much of California objections as simply inaccurate. The hearing is happening on 3/29. So there's a few more hearings like that in the works to give you an idea of some of the things that are still ongoing. So that's the update of what is happening with the Activision Blizzard case. I just wanted to share the news with you and talk to you a little bit about it. I think it goes through. At this point, we haven't heard that the FTC seems interested in blocking it. We see that Sony is still buying companies, bringing them into the fold. They just acquired Haven Studios. So I don't see any reason that this doesn't happen. I think Sony's been bulking up in anticipation of this merger because they know just how big of a cash cow Activision Blizzard is. And I think Sony knows that their deal with Bungie is going to go through, and Sony also knows this Activision deal is going to go through, as many people who work in the legal world have attested to. Anyway, that's my thoughts on it. If you like my videos, thank you so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell to know when they go live. Thank you so much for watching. If you like my content, you can become a member also. Thank you so much to all the members for supporting me. I do greatly appreciate it. If you would like to become a member, you can do so by clicking that join button right there. Thank you so much. I am going to get out of here. Got to bake some cookies. All right, bye for now, everybody.